Let me tell the story. I can tell it all about the mountain boy who ran illegal alcohol. His daddy made the whiskey, the son he drove the load, and when his engines roared, they called the highway Thunder Road.
It is a southern myth, born of the mountains, the moonshine made there and the runners that hauled it. Thunder Road is the route from Heartland to Knoxville, immortalized in Robert Mitchum's movie and ballad. The film hit home. It depicted the mountaineers' fierce independence in places as familiar as home.
He come roaring out of Heartland, revving up his mill. He shot the gap at Cumberland and screamed by Maynardville.
Here's where the story gets interesting. It ends in tragedy, and the legend is born.
He come blazing through Knoxville, out on Kingston Pike. Just outside of Bearden, they made the fatal strike. He left the road at 90, that's all there is to say. The devil got the moonshine and the mountain boy that day, and there was thunder, over Thunder Road.
Though actually shot in Nashville, the movie was hugely popular. In Cocke County, it ran for 3 years straight. In Harlan, it was the standing summer feature at the drive-in. Whether a moonshine runner's life ended on Bearden Hill may be pure Hollywood. The truth in the myth is built-up cars and daring drivers. And that begins our story of the wild ride of stock car racing.
It's the best of the Heartland Series with Bill Landry on Heartland Tonight.
Tennessee is calling, rolling hills all dressed in green. Hear the heartland calling, like an Appalachian spring. Smoky Mountain night is falling, the heartland's calling me, calling me.
The early days of racing goes right back to the very early days of the car. The early races would be, the winner would be the last car moving. That's how unreliable cars were at the time.
From the beginning of automotive history, the question was asked and is still asked. Whose car is best? Who is the fastest? Let's run them and find out. Perhaps it's the thrill of the ride, the awe of a finely built machine, the unbridled freedom. Car racing ignites passions and pushes at the outer edge of what's acceptable. Yet along the way, racing has become a wildly popular sport. In this half hour, we explore how racing in East Tennessee took off.
By the early 1900s, we had well-established racing in this country. On the western side of the mountains, Tennessee, Kentucky, you had much more influence from the Midwest.
Morristown's Sky City track of the 1930s raced Indianapolis 500 style cars.
A homemade frame where you could make a small car with open wheels. And these were fairly economical cars. A kid, for instance, could go out in a barn and cobble up a car and take it to a racetrack. There were all kinds of fairgrounds racing going on at the time. This was the Dust Bowl era of auto racing.
It was also the era of Prohibition. The car, plodding along as family transportation, then became a symbol of defiance against the law, safety, and the practical use of a good machine. Bootleg whiskey, long distilled in the mountains, found a big market in the city.
Back then you had to make it if you eat. You didn't make whiskey and send it to the big man. You didn't eat.
The late Euless Roberts made moonshine and at times ran it.
We'd go to Cosby, and I'd have to tune all our cars up at the Hall Whiskey.
Alan Broyles covered Cocke County as an agent with the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
Can you just imagine how much whiskey they could haul in there?
He knew the tricks of the trade.
The smell, for one thing, and of course, like the trunk lid having fingerprints on it, somebody was in there for some reason. Overloading springs, weaving in the rear end, maybe that it was loaded with something very heavy, and it is very heavy.
Euless Roberts distilled hard lessons from his moonshine days.
Man don't feel good, I can tell you that. When he's got a carload and gets around where the bunch of law, brass button in, you kind of feel funny. You can't tell which way the boat's going to rock. Ain't made to drink, it's made to sell. And it took me a long time to find out what it's for.
Yeah, these quilts right here, like this, would cover the whiskey in the back seat. And I'll tell you this, a lot more whiskey got through than we got, I can tell you that.
Were these guys good drivers?
Yeah, but a lot of them were real good drivers.
Traveling sometimes by the light of the moon, drivers spirited illegal liquor along Thunder Road.
The term Thunder Road, as I have been able to identify it, is a generic term by people who would be running whiskey on a road. And rather than to say where they were going, they could communicate with each other and say, well, I'll be running Thunder Road.
Author Alex Gabbard researched Mitchum's Thunder Road and even retraced the route. He never confirmed the specific incident to his satisfaction, yet Thunder Road existed.
And cars beefed up to give the law a run for its money steered the fearless drivers into a slightly more acceptable new pastime, stock car racing.
The moonshiner would haul whiskey from Sunday night to Thursday night. And Friday night and Saturday night, they wouldn't haul whiskey because there was too much traffic and the law was out. So they had Friday night and Saturday nights free. When a moonshine car got identified, it was done. You couldn't haul moonshine anymore. So many of the car owners would turn them into race cars. And they were already very well developed, very, very tough, solid suspensions. I mean, clearly, if you're going to haul 22 cases of whiskey on a 40 Ford, for instance, 700, 800 pounds extra weight, and still go flying down the road and it stay together, it's got to be a well-built car. So when you take all that weight out of it, same power, you put it on a racetrack, and it's going to be a fireball.
Tootle Estes was one of East Tennessee's stock car pioneers and a runner, according to his son Rocky.
Junior Johnson and Curtis Turner's probably the most famous, but Daddy ran it a little bit back in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s. He grew up over in Happy Holler, and he ran a little bit of it over in there.
Even without the moonshine connection, East Tennessee's racing is rooted in a sort of lawlessness. The competitions run on backcountry roads.
Smoky Mountain Market, it stayed open 24 hours a day, and there was always people over there, you know. And there was always a crowd of young people over there, UT students mostly. And of course, Dad had bought them fancy cars, and all of these country boys around here, we thought we could outrun them, and they'd race at Chapman Highway, different locations. They'd race that far, they'd send somebody up there to wait on them and see who come across the finish line first.
Like other kids of his time, Herman Collins used ingenuity and salvaged parts to build his race cars.
Back when we was racing, there wasn't enough of this racing stuff made. You had to make it all yourself. But all of us at the time we started were from poor families, and nobody had any money. Everybody was poor. Everybody was just alike. Eddie Gilliland from Harriman had a 46 Ford on a 34 Ford frame. He drove it from Harriman to Broadway every Saturday night and raced it, and then drove it back home. And it's just a thing that everybody just takes to heart.
Just for the thrill of it.
We would line up 4 deep there, and maybe back just as far as you can see, everybody just racing their motors up, and the smoke was boiling. And you wanted to beat everybody, and when you beat them, well, you were happy, but you didn't boast about it because they was going to beat you the next week. Well, Kenny Sharp and Tootle and Wayne Fielding at that time in early was the best drivers. A lot of noise and a lot of excitement. Yeah, I can see all those people sitting up there in those stands now, just like we used to do when we came up here and raced. They're empty now, but I can see them sitting up there.
The pioneer racers of East Tennessee drove on the edge of acceptability, but paved the way for the sport as it is now.
It's in third gear, I think. We'll look at some of East Tennessee's early stock cars when Heartland Tonight returns.
It was just a thrill, It wasn't a lot of money in it.
Racing was long a pastime of the rich, but with the post-World War II boom, racing came within reach of the common man. Stock car racing captured forever the hearts of kids good under the hood with a notion for speed. NASCAR formed in 1947, yet East Tennessee tracks that sprang up to fan racing fever were smaller, mavericks that played by their own rules. Broadway Raceway, Smoky Mountain Raceway, 411. The outlaw tracks were on the outskirts because racing was against Knox County law. However forbidden, racing took off, though places like Ashway Speedway sometimes served double duty.
They graze cattle in here. When we come up here on Sunday to race, Mr. Hillard would take all the cattle to another pasture field up here. So you had to be careful where you stepped.
Was it an acceptable hobby, socially?
Not real, no. I don't guess it was, really. A lot of people looked down on us. They thought it was a redneck sport, and they particularly didn't care for it. But after NASCAR came up and got on television, why, everybody sees it in a different light now. They approve of it.
Cars were junkyard salvage, but the metal and competition forged a racing spirit and some cool nicknames: Turtle Beam, Windy York, Duck Moore, Pig Wilson, Buddy Rogers, Toodle Estes, Breezy Waddell, and Mr. X. Breezy Waddell raced Mr. X when 411 was a dirt track. Cars were different then, too.
They've got better equipment, better cars. This old airplane strap right here is what everybody used back then. Well, that hook is to hook it in second gear when you're going to a turn on dirt. A lot of times it'll turn up and jump out of gear. This is keep it from jumping out of gear.
Good evening, race fans. Here's your starting lineup tonight at Ashway Speedway.
It was hard work, but you were doing it because you knew you'd have a lot of fun on Saturday night. We didn't have no sponsors, and we had gas sponsors. The guy would give you gas every week if he put his name on the side of the car.
Coming back out of turn number 4, they're running side by side, bumper to bumper, door to door. Car number 6 in the lead, does a power slide out of number 4.
In his early broadcasting days, Bobby Denton called races, screaming above the din. The order of the day was disorder.
I mean, always fights breaking out in the pits, not among the drivers, but the good old boys that worked on the cars. They didn't have uniforms then. They showed up in their jeans and T-shirts, and if something happened on the track, they took it personal and they duked it out. People stood out by the track, and you can see people running up there to help and all, and these guys running pretty fast, but people right on the edge of the track rooting their favorite driver on. Whenever they'd wreck one of these cars, they'd just go up to Eddie's Auto Parts and get another car off the field up there, put their engine in it, get some shoe polish, put the number on it, and they'd be back next Saturday night.
Fun was the draw.
We used to run all kinds of promotions to get people there. Like we ran a family night. Everybody you could put in your trunk got in free.
Once a year, they'd bring donkeys in, and all the drivers would have to get on a donkey and ride. Most everybody goes to see a race, but in having good races, you're going to have wrecks. So it goes along with the racing. I don't care what you do, you're still going to have wrecks. Most people don't like to see a serious wreck. They like to see the Firefly, cars run against one another and all that,
It didn't pay nothing back then like it does now.
What would you get to win?
Well, I have got as low as $4.50. And some places they'd give you hot dogs as left over.
It was the thrill and the possibilities.
I think it comes down to this. You can watch NFL football, and you're not likely to be able to play. You can watch all kinds of sports and not be able to participate, but you can drive.
A top local driver was Toodle Estes, who in 1958 raced in the Winston Cup Grand Nationals.
Oh yeah, anybody let Toodle drive a car. He's just awesome, that's all.
I mean, it was just smooth, even, moving. I mean, it was just unreal to watch him drive a race car.
His son, Rocky.
When racing gets in your blood, I mean, you can't walk away from it.
and it's already caught his son, who ran his first laps just last year.
Okay, to start off with, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. As you know, this is live sports racing 99 season. There will be a shootout tonight at the late model class.
When we come back, we'll visit this third-generation racing family and see how, despite NASCAR's high-dollar polish, racing remains an affair of the heart. Saturday night at Atomic Speedway, the fans turn out. The lure of the track is irresistible.
I just like it. I mean, it's not really a feeling you can explain, and you just gotta have it.
You ever had a real bad wreck? That's what it's like.
We went to the racetrack last year for the first time ever. Liked it, and we bought a race car the next week.
Absent of the piles of money that ride with the NASCAR circuit, in East Tennessee, it's pure love of stock car racing and little else that drives the sport.
I just found me an old car one day for about $50 and started building me one. Yeah, I scoot around through there pretty good for just little old four-cylinders too.
This truly is stock car racing. Despite added features such as roll cages and missing body parts, life for most of these entry-level race cars began as a street-driven, grocery-toting, kid-carrying family vehicle. And while their final days are spent in glorious slides around a dirt track, they really are one of the last connections to what is known as stock car racing. NASCAR vehicles, on the other hand, are pure race cars.
This is a business. This really is, and it's maintained with first-class equipment. Everything is new or nearly new.
Racing means business at Morgan McClure Motorsports in Abington. In the near-surgically clean shop, 57 engineers and technicians build the Kodak cars. As many as 15 cars in various states of finish await the new race season. And though many NASCAR fans are loyal to their Fords or Chevys or Pontiacs, one company builds the chassis for almost all the cars. The only true piece of a real stock car left in stock car racing is the metal of the floor pan. However, NASCAR has a 200-page rule book that ensures the teams build race cars that resemble what is available on showroom floors. NASCAR supplies each team a series of templates. They are used to shape the sheet metal around the racing chassis. It is an expensive and exacting craft that makes the cars look as if they could be parked in your garage.
They got, here you can see it's got 15 inches down from the center of your roof. They'll give us a gauge, green, blue, and red. There it's green, it won't go under. If it goes under in the green, then you have to fix it, or the red. Down here on the C-post, we have to be red, and it won't go.
You got a template for everything?
Got a template for everywhere. And there's another one for here at the bottom of the rear window. It'll sit here at 26.5 from the corner of the window. And it has to be all red. And there it won't fit through.
So that regiments the...
We're good to go there.
After it looks the part, the only thing left to do is make it competitive. From a garage floor that can be made perfectly level to see how balanced the car is, to computer-aided design rooms that labor over the smallest detail, they spare no expense. Metal is machined to 10,000th of an inch, and engines tuned to maximum power characteristics every day with one thought in mind: time is money.
Sometimes it's a tenth of a second from the first place qualifier to the 43rd. For a top flight NASCAR team, $6 to $10 million for primary sponsor.
Meanwhile, at Rocky Estes Garage in Knoxville,
well, I sold this side here for $150 a month this year. First time I've ever had a sponsor.
Is that for sale?
It could be, yes. This is an available spot on a lot of cars, and again, 100 to 300, 400, 500,000.
Winter's a time for fixing up cars and dreaming. Rocky Estes and a few helpers do it all.
How much will that pipe cost?
I'd probably about $10 or $15. I would imagine. I hope.
So when you need something, you buy one piece at a time?
Yeah. We couldn't race full time. We just starved to death. This is a hobby. It's, something that you can't get away from.
NASCAR looms out there because it's the ultimate ride.
I'd like to see one of the boys do it. You know, maybe they drag me along with them, but you know, it's a tough sport to get in up that high. It is. It takes a lot of money to go up there.
For now, the competition's plenty stiff on the local level.
My stepbrother Josh.
You race against him?
Yes, sir.
Can you beat him?
It's back and forth. Every week, he'll beat me one week, and I'll beat him one week. It's good competition.
Fans love the action, reckless or smooth.
You know, until he gets a lot of laps under his belt.
I think it's the thrill of competition. Each person has someone that they're pulling for.
It's just competition, and they have a neighbor or a friend or a brother or a daddy, and he wants to race, and they want to go see him. And, you know, they're just fans.
Well, I tell you why a lot of them come. To see the wrecks.
I guess it's going so fast around here, and wondering if somebody's going to wreck or anything. I guess it just gets your adrenaline going.
On this day, the drivers mix it up. It's all part of taking laps when the sport is full throttle and wide open.
This is my 5th race.
You gonna do it again?
Oh yeah. If I can get it fixed.
Why?
Huh? It's fun. It's fun.
What do you do for a living?
I'm Vice President of Human Resources for Bush Brothers, the baked bean people.
In the end, money makes the car in auto racing. It doesn't make the driver or the fans, or diminish the feeling for racing itself. For it's a love sparked more than 50 years ago by car-crazy kids in a post-war boom. It has spread through several generations. Now racing runs by itself on competition, commitment, and a thrill too good to pass up.
It's just exciting. It's a hobby I really love, and it's a blood-pumping sport. Get them next year.
How old are you?
67. Ed Crabtree. Better known as Crazy Ed. That's what's on my car. I have to get home at night, and then like up here, it takes you 2 hours to get the dirt off of it.
You can get sponsors, and they'll give you money. So.
That's the way it works.
Right. So if you want to sponsor my husband, give me a call.
I mean, it just gives me big excitement. I mean, you know, it's just fun to me.
All I saw was the wall, and then I was resting.